Tony Hawk games. There's a lot of them. Let me start out with Pro Skater 3. Pro Skater 3 is one of the highest rated games of all time and one of my favorite games of all time. Like in my top 10 favorite games of all time. I feel the game is amazing on every level with excellent controls, music, and gameplay, and all around I think it's the best skating game ever made. Come Pro Skater 4, it's also an amazing game on the same level of greatness, but I don't really have as much nostalgia with it, so I prefer the third Pro Skater. After that, there was a plethora of Tony Hawk games: Underground 1, 2, American Wasteland, Project 8, Proving Ground, all of them ranging from Pro Skater 4 level of greatness to still being pretty decent. They never lost their edge, until Neversoft, the developers, left Tony Hawk. They went on to Guitar Hero and later got eaten by Infinity Ward. So Tony Hawk was given to Robomoto, a new company. Okay, 2 shitty board games later and a piece of shit HD remake. What did they announce? They announced a sequel to Pro Skater 4. Yes, that amazing game that came out in like 2002 or whatever is getting a sequel. I was like, hell yeah, they're probably getting their shit together for this game, and it's gonna be awesome. Well, does the game live up to the Pro Skater name? Let's look very in depth at Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. In terms of story and setting, the game nails the Pro Skater vibe perfectly, because there is no story. You're just dropped into random maps with missions to do. That's good enough for me, considering that's all you had in the Pro Skater games. There's no 2-minute time limit, and in terms of controls, it's just like the old Pro Skaters. Great. The controls are ingrained in my brain, and they always will be for the rest of my life. There's 3 new things, and 2 of them I'll go over later, but one thing to mention is you can use the triggers to stop and go. I don't remember being able to use that in the other Tony Hawks. I'm sure in like Proving Ground you could, though. At least not in the Pro Skater games, you couldn't do that, I know that. But after all these years of playing Tony Hawk, I still just hold the A button down. Let's go more in depth. So this game is a total blast from the past? Oh yeah, it is. First of all, just look at it. This game looks like a glorified, like, early PS3 game. Like, this game, honestly, this game looks worse than Tony Hawk Proving Ground. How someone does that amazes me. You know what, I'm just going to be completely honest here. This is the absolute worst looking Xbox One game I've played so far on it, excluding Rare Replay, of course. When the game was first revealed, it was heavily criticized on the graphics, and then halfway through the game's development, it changed to like being cel-shaded of a sort, further bringing more controversy. This game isn't like fully cel-shaded, but mostly cel-shaded. It's really weird, and it doesn't really matter because the game just looks pretty bad in general. The models in the game are atrocious. Why didn't they just use what they used for like the WWE games or something? Or hell, what they used for even like WWE like 2K12. Like these models are like 2 gaming generations behind, like, and the frame rate is prehistorically bad. How do you fuck up the graphics this bad? The textures are just ugly. Like all of them. They're just hideous. And the models are a joke, and the frame rate is so inconsistent it makes literally no sense. Why is the frame rate so bad? This game doesn't look good at all. The game has a serious problem at staying at even 30 frames per second. The game will almost like halt in some aspects. Like, hello? Oh, and the rendering in this game is just on a whole nother level of just terrible. Like, it's maybe the worst rendering I've ever seen in a video game. Enough about the presentation. It's obvious the presentation is not very good, and it's not the only thing about the game that isn't pro, to say the least. There's an okay amount of maps in the game. There's 8. Yeah. I can count on one finger how many are actually good and well designed, and it's the last map in the game, Mountain. You can free roam around each map to your heart's content. On every map there is the skate letters, which are placed almost at random, it seems. Then there's the combo letters where you have to get all of them in one go. And those are easier than the skate ones, to say the least. And there's a mixtape and a DVD, which are hidden on every map. And then smashing 8 things on every map. Like, the first map, it's swag boxes. But on later maps, it's like crystals or whatever. It's literally the same thing on every single map, with the letters, the DVD, the mixtape, and smashing. Literally every single map. So it's time to talk about the maps in more detail. With the exception of Mountain, all the maps in the game have one thing in common. They're all lifeless, boring, and all around terrible with bad design. All of them have something bad about them. Whether it's that it's really just boring as hell, having stupid grind spots, very inconsistent half-pipe placement, and really I just have a beef with each one of them. I really am having a hard time explaining what I find exactly wrong with each map because they really just are that boring. Every map is just so lifeless in general with no personality or any unique features at all. Take for instance the bunker map, which is literally just like a reskin of Warehouse from the original Pro Skater. There is like nothing cool here, no UFOs. The only thing that is remotely interesting is a helicopter rotor, which was in a Tony Hawk game like 7 games ago. So it's not even that interesting anymore. And then there's the missions in the game. The missions in the game are scattered around like how they used to be, if it even lets you access them. But you can access them from a menu, which is what I do. There's around 15 different mission types in the game, and almost all of them are in every map. Simple ones are like score hella points, collect an object and take it back to the starting point, which I might add are horrible, or doing what Tony says are the Hawkman missions. The big head that explodes mode, where you have to get points from HD, is here, and well, it was really like the only thing I can say that was good about HD, and it's okay here, I guess. Oh, there's kickflip to shoot like missiles or something. The first time I did it was okay, but really like the 5th time I was doing this I was really dreading it because of just how awkward the controls are for it. Or there's grind points and manual for points, or getting balls out of a pool. That's my favorite, you do that one a couple times. Or slamming onto crates. Yeah, that's one of the new features in the game, slamming. You press Y or triangle in the air to slam to the ground, and it's the same button as the grind. The slam isn't a stupid idea, I think. It was just executed wrong. It can be used to go very fast, and that's good. However, having it to the same button as your grind can just fuck up your flow. Slamming down to the ground just sucks. I never like slam to the ground. I mean, slamming for grinding, that's okay, as long as it works right, but that's not most of the time. Okay, now that I've mentioned most of the mission types, I'll explain why they are all pretty bad. The score and the big head missions, I can give those a pass. I mean, those are alright. The manual ones don't make a lot of sense, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. And the grind ones can be pretty much ignored. The shooting shit from kickflips is boring, and the aiming is terrible on like every level, because it's just so awkward to have to aim when you're on a skateboard. Getting balls out of the pool is pretty stupid because the physics in this game are just fucked. The Tony Says ones are dumb because it's just a series of boring tricks, and once you have to do something that involves the Y button, you're probably screwed and your combo is going to be over. The worst of them all, though, has to be Hawkman. It is plagued from literally one game aspect, and that's the hit detection. The hit detection in this game is atrocious, much worse than any other Tony Hawk game. You can kickflip through gaps, no problem, but many times the game just flat out glitches and won't let you. And it's highlighted here. Now, to get each one of these orbs in the Hawkman missions, you have to either be grinding in the air or manualing to get the coin, or orb, or whatever the thing is. Now, you have to be so fucking precise and accurate that it's completely ridiculous, and most of the time the game will just say you didn't go through it at all. Every time I missed a coin or orb or whatever they are, it was probably because of crappy hit detection. It's unacceptable how bad it is. Speaking of unacceptable, that's this game in terms of glitches. I'm sure most people who know about the game, or even have seen this video, have seen that the game just glitches out all the time. I can say it's probably the glitchiest Xbox One game I've ever played. I mean, just tons and tons of bugs. Clipping and falling through the ground is almost every time you crash. Bodies contorting and stretching, the board going out of control, it's all there. Eurogamer even uploaded a video with all of, like, just glitches, and it's not as bad as Eurogamer would put you to believe, but it's still not very good at all. Like, going out of the map, flying into the air from just an ollie, or the physics just dying, it really is bad. And the game crashed on me multiple times, and even had a complete lockup where my console had trouble resetting. It was so bad. Like, what the hell is wrong with this game? Like, was there no beta testing or anything? There's so many betas nowadays for video games. Why wasn't there a beta for this? Then there is the frustrating glitch that has to do with the slam. There's a random chance, and I mean random chance, that when you slam onto a grind rail, the combo just ends for some reason. Like, you touch the ground instead of grinding, and then, like, continue the grind. It makes no sense. It's bullshit, ruins the flow, and ends your combo immediately. And it literally just makes no sense. Like, I'm slamming onto the rail. Why am I touching the ground and ending my combo? Speaking of flow, the flow in this game is horrible. You can get so much speed from nothing, and special does nothing in terms of speed. The specials in the game are ruined. Ruined. You now press LB, and you have a limited time to do specials. Your grab tricks are your super cool tricks now. Yeah, but it's only for a short time, and can only be activated once per combo, so you can't be anywhere near as raw as you could in the old Tony Hawk games and have like 10 million point combos easily. And making big combos is just very difficult in this game, and you have to do like kickflips for a high multiplier. Another flow ruining aspect of the game is the power-ups. Yes, the old school Tony Hawk game that this game claims to be has power-ups. Now, is that contradictory or what? The power-ups in this game are just the definition of awful. A double jump? Like, what the fuck is this? A double jump. Why would I want a double... or a moon jump? What has happened to this series? How is this pro? You can do moon jumps. Like, it was a cheat code in the old Pro Skaters, yeah. But that's a cheat code. This is an integral part of the game. What the hell? These are so stupid. Why are they here? The game skating just feels bad in general, especially when compared to the other Pro Skaters, which I might add have aged marvelously, and this game feels outdated and behind them, and this game just came out 2 weeks ago. With retarded physics in general, just manualing up. You can manual up mountains. You couldn't do that in the old Tony Hawk games. Or grinding infinitely and wall jumping back and forth. Like, why? I could never do this before. Why is it letting me do it now? The roster in the game is kind of underwhelming. I mean, I'm not really sure. Tony Hawk, Riley Hawk, and a bunch of modern skaters are here. That's okay. But there's really, like, any of the guest characters that were awesome from the old Tony Hawk games. Like, this game does nothing in terms of that. The guest character is Lil Wayne. Really? Now, every character can be customized, which is really weird, because you can't make custom characters, but you can customize regular skaters, so why not just let me create characters? It's to carry over stats, and I can say these stats are literally next to worthless, except for the grind in the manual one. And if you've played as much Tony Hawk as me, you really don't need these. The game has a big online functionality, but that just falls flat on its face. The free mode has people skating, but literally this means absolutely nothing. They're just skating around. And the only thing that really shows up is just when they left the game. It means nothing. I recommend playing offline, honestly, for a better frame rate, and that's what I did. Until the game glitches and puts you into an online game for some reason. Now, I played Tony Hawk games on the GameCube, so I never played online Tony Hawk. And I certainly didn't for Project 8 or Proving Ground. And I'm really just indifferent to the online. And according to people, even in the game, it just doesn't work right in the menus. And the menus are just really laughably unintuitive and bad. Like, they don't work, they're ugly, they aren't informative, and just look at them, they're not good. And to just put stats, like, just to upgrade your stats, you have to go back to the menu. Like, the main menu of the game. Well, why? The old Tony Hawks didn't have to do that. Also, the game takes like 10 seconds to restart, and a game when you restart a lot because you messed up a combo, like, that's just really bad. Like, the old Tony Hawk games were like 3 seconds. Like, really, is there anything that isn't bad about this game? I mean, yeah, there is a few things. The controls minus the slam I feel are okay. I mean, because they're the same that they've been for the last, I don't know, 15 years. So, I mean, I can give that one a pass. I mean, I get brief throwbacks of the good old days of Pro Skater 3 while playing it. The mountain map is decent. I mean, it actually is okay design. And reminds me of an SSX game. So there's something. That's better than any of the other maps. And then there's the soundtrack. The soundtrack, I feel, is the only thing that Robomoto got right with this game. They understood the soundtrack from the older games, and the soundtrack in this game is phenomenal, I feel. Every song is good and fits in. It made the game much more tolerable because the music was actually good. I can say it's really the only good thing about the game. I mean it. The soundtrack is just really the only good thing about the game, and for a video game, that's pretty sad. And this isn't like Rock Band, so that's pretty sad. The game literally fails to understand anything about the old Pro Skaters, shits on the Tony Hawk name, and is a sequel to one of the best skating games of all time. I have to really ask, what the fuck were they doing when they made this game? Really, what was anyone thinking? And charging $60 for it? Are you kidding me? Take a look at all the games that have come out in the last, I don't know, 5 months. Yeah, let's go with 5 months. Now, this is the real kicker that made me realize just how bad the game is. Not all the shit I mentioned earlier. That would just make this a crappy, mediocre, under average, like 4 out of 10 Tony Hawk piece of crap. But no, comparing it to modern games that have been released for the same price as this just really makes the game look even worse. Take Arkham Knight, tons of gameplay, replayability, and I thought it was pretty awesome. Mad Max. I had so much fun with this game, put 30 plus hours into it. I had a blast, did everything the game had to offer. It was fantastic in my opinion. Metal Gear Solid 5. Well, you know what, don't even get me started because you can't even compare any of these games to Metal Gear Solid 5. What does Tony Hawk have? It has like 8 missions. Or not 8 missions, it has 8 maps and a bunch of shitty missions and a waste of time online. That's what it has. In layman's terms, it has jack shit. Nothing. Nada. Zero. I mean, I spent $60 on this and I traded it in and only got like 25 when I did. Even GameStop knows that the game sucks ass. And lastly, to talk about how this game is just an insult to the Pro Skater name. This game is no sequel to the legendary Pro Skater 4. It doesn't even deserve Tony Hawk's name. It's that bad. I mean, this game could have been a reboot, and it could have just been a bad reboot, like Bomberman's or Turok's. But no, this had to be a sequel. What the fuck? I mean, really, how? How? This game feels so unfinished and is just flat out broken. Like, it just feels so unfinished, like an early access game or something. But this is the game that we are presented with. The $60 game. I mean, like, for instance, whenever you go into a game, like, and start up a mission, it takes like 5 or 6 seconds to load up the mission, and you can still skate around, like, while the mission's about to load, and then you go into the loading screen, and then you start the mission. And every loading screen says Pro Skater 5, like, you don't know what you're playing. Like, how do you not know what you're playing? And there are load times literally everywhere. Why can't we just have, like, I don't know, like, just streamed, like, levels, like, where you can just do a mission, and then it just puts you back into the, like, world without having a load time? Like, ugh, this is just ridiculous. And lastly, the install. The game is only 4 gigs, and then a day 1 patch that's 8 gigs came out for it. And so you won't even be able to play the game for a while for the first time. Like, what the hell? What's even the point of the disc? There's also a Create a Park mode, but I didn't even bother since you have to stick to the base maps. But really, like, at this point, I'm just done with the game. Like, I spent my money on it, and I haven't been this disappointed with a new release in a long time. Like, a long time. I'm someone who found that the new Thief was okay. I'm someone who thought Arkham Knight was just as good as City. But this game? No. Absolutely not. No, 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 no. This is a piece of shit, and I can't believe Activision did this shit to anyone who likes Tony Hawk or skateboarding. This is one of the worst games I've played all year, and arguably, it's one of the worst Tony Hawk games. I wouldn't say it's on the same level as, like, Ride or Shred bad, but I'd say it's on the level of Pro Skater HD, which I felt was the worst Tony Hawk game of all time, and this game is on the same level of that, just a piece of shit. And this game probably just killed off Tony Hawk, like, doing video games again. Like, I'm sure Activision just had a license that was about to expire with him, and so they milked one more game out of him, or whatever, but it doesn't matter now. This game is really just a fire dumpster on wheels, or whatever that article said. And I mean, I can't believe that this is the next Pro Skater. What a piece of shit. I'm really just done with talking about the game in general. I mean, go back to the old Tony Hawk games, they're way better. Even go back to Proving Ground, it has better graphics and better gameplay. I mean, I don't usually make that many videos now, but this game I just had to make a video about because of just how fucking bad it was. Like, what a waste of time, money, disappointment. I hope this has been some good insight for you on the game. That's my rant and review of the game. Terrible game, and not worth any time from anyone, or any money. Don't even bother. Piece of shit.